The Atlanta Dream lays second half smackdown to the Indiana Fever today, 113-96. Blow them out of the building in the second half, dominate the second half, physically punk them in the second half. And this is just another continuation of what's been going on with the Indiana Fever. The defense continues to be atrocious. There is no defense on this team, no defense whatsoever. They can't guard on ball, they can't guard off ball. They do not help very well. And they gave up another 100 plus points to the Atlanta Dream in back to back games. And I tell you what, I don't know what the record is for most 100-point games given up in a season, but the Fever have now given up 1,600-point games in their first 16 games of the season. 600-point games in their first 16 games of the season. They get walloped in the second half by the Atlanta Dream. Ryan Howard leads Atlanta with 24. Alicia Gray has 22 and 5. Jordan Canada goes for 12 and 12 and 7 rebounds and no turnovers. Angel Reese goes for 18 and 8. And Nas Hillman busts Indiana's ass with 19 and 6. As the Atlanta Dream get it done again, back-to-back dominant performances by the Atlanta Dream over the Indiana Fever, continuing to prove my statement. Atlanta is simply better than Indiana when these teams play to their potential. Well, what you're going to get is an Atlanta win every single time. Not saying that Indiana can't beat Atlanta, which they did 83-71 a couple of weeks ago, but that was when Atlanta played terribly. Their offense was awful. The last two games, Atlanta's offense has been on point, and you can't say that Indiana hasn't scored the basketball. 96 points, losing by 17, trailing by over 20 in the fourth quarter. You get 26 points out of Caitlin Clark on 11 of 18 shooting. You get 13 off the bench from Sophie Cunningham. You get 16 out of Kelsey Mitchell, 13 out of Aaliyah Boston, 49% shooting. But man, that ugly bird came up in the game in the third quarter, and let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Indiana Fever Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez. Show mod, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave your comments. Man, Caitlin Clark comes out on a heater, blistering first quarter. The Fever on fire. They're up 37-30 in the first. Caitlin Clark had 13 points in the first quarter. Dominated play. Got the job done. Did everything that she needed to do. But the Indiana Fever still failed to defend. To be only up 7 points at the end of the first quarter when you're shooting 85% from the floor is unreal. You're shooting 85% from the floor in the first quarter and you are only up 7. That's a problem, man. That's a big problem. And in this second quarter, the Dream closed it up a little bit. Stephanie White decides that she wants to have Kelsey Mitchell get her offense going. So pretty much majority of the second quarter, everything got run through Kelsey Mitchell. Now, Kelsey Mitchell did get her offense going. She had 16 points at halftime. At halftime, Kelsey Mitchell had 16 points. And she actually had 16, and Caitlin Clark only had 15. So Caitlin Clark's offensive performance was pretty much forgotten about because, Stephanie White has got to run the offense through Kelsey Mitchell at some point to give her opportunity, because apparently her opportunity is more important than keeping a heater going. That is the insane thing that exists within Stephanie White's mind. I got no problem if you want to try to get Kelsey Mitchell going, but you can't get Kelsey Mitchell going by you can't get her going while also killing the heat check that Caitlin Clark was on in that first quarter. And that's what happened. And you're leading 59-56 going into the break, and you're shooting 62%. Remember, they shot 85% in the first quarter and shot 49% in the game. So they're shooting to this. You should have been up 15 points, 20 points at the end of one, but you can't defend either as a team. The team defense for this crew is so ungodly bad. It's hit levels where no one can guard anybody. I mean, realistically, nobody can guard anybody. And it doesn't matter who. There was a couple of possessions in the third or fourth quarter. I don't remember which one it was, but Kelsey Mitchell gets blown by Jordan Canada over and over again. Just lets her go right by her. And this is a game in which Caitlin Clark realistically bent her knees. She got down. She slid her feet. I thought she did a solid job defensively. She wasn't responsible for getting smoked in the first quarter when she was out there. It wasn't her. I think maybe she got scored on once, but everybody else got scored on. Everybody else got beat off the bounce. Everybody. Everybody. At one point, Caitlin Clark was 8 of 10 shooting for the game. She finishes 11 of 18. So that just tells you, what happened to her shooting. She was 3 of 4 from three, finishes 3 of 7 from three. She had finished with 26 points, 7 assists. But once again, in this case, you got to own it, man. That third quarter stretch of turnovers by Caitlin Clark was a disaster. It largely spurred the 13-0 run. Like, you can't bullshit around it. She turned the ball over 5 times in the third quarter, and it spurred a 13-0 run. Like, I mean, you can pussyfoot around it all you want. Is it why they lost? No, they lost for a lot of reasons. That was one of the reasons. So people get upset when you point things out. You don't lose a game for any one specific thing. You lose a game for a number of things. That was one of them, and that was a large piece right there. Because those turnovers in that stretch were devastating. They were 65-60, and then it was turnover. And it wasn't just her. There was a couple of people, other people turned the ball over too. It was just turnover after turnover after turnover after turnover. And it's one of those things where it's like these passes where you're trying to push the ball down the floor. You don't have to be a hero all the time. And that is a maturity process, hopefully a maturing process for Caitlin Clark at some point where she recognizes that unless that pass is there, it's better to not make it and risk a turnover because those turnovers spur opponents. And you're up 5. Next thing you know, you're down 8. 13-0 run, 73-65. And that's a big problem. Big problem. Aaliyah Boston commits her 4th foul early in the third quarter, sits for a large chunk of it, and that's really also when that run came with Aaliyah Boston sitting on the bench because this team is soft. This team can't rebound. This team does not rebound as a unit. They just fail miserably. Monique Billings is useless. Aisha Hines-Allen is undersized. Michaela Timpson, not very good. Damiris Dantas got action today, in fact. Angel Reese just started beating their ass in that second half. I mean, she ended up finishing with 18 and 8, and she physically punked them. She was displacing Michaela Timpson whenever she felt like it, displacing Monique Billings whenever she felt like it. It was pretty embarrassing, in fact. There's largely massive inconsistency within officiating. Once again, Kelsey Mitchell gets called for a technical foul after being tackled basically by Ryan Howard, and her hand comes down and hits Howard in the face on a shooting motion. But then later on in the game, Aaliyah Boston gets elbowed in the face by Angel Reese, and they say it's just normal motion in shooting. That whole rule needs to be gotten rid of. Either it's going to be a flagrant foul and everything, or it's not going to be. You can't. This world of I have to a referee determining intent is ridiculous because you don't know what the intent is. So either it's always going to be or it's never going to be. And they continue to make these weird ass calls because I'm sorry, when you get cracked in the face with an elbow, and I don't know if Aaliyah Boston's nose got broken, but she was wearing a mask when she came back out. And yeah, you get nothing. You get nothing. So another example of inconsistency in officiating. Again, the officiating itself, whatever. It's game to game, but there's just an inconsistency factor that exists within this league with these after the play situations when you're shooting and your hand somehow lands and touches someone's chin or touches someone's nose or the face, and it turns into a complete change in tempo and momentum and so forth. So Aaliyah Boston has to come back in the game because once again, one of the things that we've talked about, that I've talked about for quite some time, you have no size. Your size sucks. Your backup size sucks. And she is the most important player on the team, especially in a game like this. Especially a game like this. You cannot have her sitting on the bench for that long. She only played 22 minutes because she was in foul trouble. She comes back in the game with the 4-minute mark or something like that with 4 fouls and then commits her 5th foul like almost right after that. And yeah, what did Stephanie White do? She kept her arms folded. She didn't challenge it. Mind you, this is either late in the third or this was early in the fourth when that 5th foul came. And that was right after there was a challenge by Atlanta where it was clear Naz Hillman was fouling Aaliyah Boston, had her arm hooked in Aaliyah Boston, and the referees come back and say, oh, no, not a foul. Not a foul. Not a foul there. It was actually marginal contact both ways. There was another one early in the game as well where they had marginal contact. Like listen here. How can you have marginal contact hitting someone in the arm? How can it be considered marginal contact when I hit you in the arm? But if I'm guarding you on the floor, a little tip or a tap or a bump is a foul now. But you're shooting the ball and your arm gets hit and it's marginal. That happened to the Indiana Fever in this game as well. It's just again now we're gonna start determining what marginal contact is. I want to find this. Okay, Aaliyah Boston. It was with 140, 153 to go in this game, in the third, where she gets called for that coach's challenge, overturns that foul on Hillman. Aaliyah Boston then picks up her fifth foul. Where was it? Was it right after? Yeah, a minute later, she picks up her fifth foul, tapping Naz Hillman way softer than the way Naz Hillman was on her. And even the television broadcast said, that's not a foul. That's not a foul. So now you put Aaliyah Boston on the bench with five fouls, and that was pretty much it. You had no shot at that point. You were done. Dunzo. It was over with. You had no shot. Caitlin Clarkins will finish with 26, like I said. Kelsey Mitchell had 16 at halftime. Does not score another bucket the rest of the game. Not another bucket the rest. I mean, she doesn't score another point the rest of the game. She finishes 5 of 13. Does not score another bucket the rest of the game. Nothing. No more buckets. The buckets closed for Kelsey Mitchell. She missed a 3 to start the third. Let's see what else she did in the second half. She took one shot, 1 3. Let's see what else Kelsey did in the second half. Literally nothing. Literally nothing. Look, end of the day, this team quit. They're soft. They're butter. They melt under pressure. This team is going to melt, and they're melting in every direction. You make a few mistakes, they fold. You know what's fun last night? I got to watch the Washington Mystics down 8 points with like 4 minutes left against New York Liberty and win the game. I don't think you'll ever see that with this team right here. They will melt. They melt. They mentally melt, and they all do it. They're all a part of it. So Kelsey Mitchell then took a 21-footer with a minute to go, misses that. 0 for 2 second half, and then did she shoot? That's the third. She took 2 shots, 0 for 2 in the third. Commits a loose ball, foul. Then she turns the ball over. Let's see what else we got here. I think she took more than 2 shots. She gotta take more than 2 shots. Like, how are you a player like Kelsey Mitchell and you just stop shooting? Yeah, I only see that she took 2 shots. Did she take another shot? 2 shots? 2 shots? That's crazy. If she only took 2 shots, that's bananas. But hey, if that's what it was, that's what it was. So she decided that she was done for the day. This team quits though. Like when they fall on the wrong side of stuff, they kind of give up. They don't have any heart. It's a group that's heartless. And now I know people are going to say, yeah, Caitlin Clark, 7 turnovers. She had 26.7 assists, 7 turnovers. And I'll grant you, them 5 turnovers in the third quarter. It's one thing to commit 7 turnovers in a game if you have like 2, 2, 2, and 1 in the throughout the game. But when they happen back to back to back to back type stuff, they all most of them I think happened within that 13-0 run, and that was devastating. You can't argue. It was devastating. But once again, defensively, they can't stop anybody as a unit. You don't play any zone. It wasn't Caitlin today on the defensive end, though. It wasn't. She wasn't. She got cooked last game. Today it was everybody. They all were getting fucking smoked, and she was probably the least one getting smoked. Lexi Hull, useless. I keep telling people that Lexi Hull is who's not very good. She can't guard anybody. She's useless out there. She took 1 shot, 0 points. You might as well not even play. Like you might as well not even play. I have to remind people over and over again that the Atlanta Dream are a contender. They're a championship level team, and they're missing Brianna Jones. They are a championship level team. They have weapons everywhere. Everyone who thinks that Indiana is so talented, well, Indiana's got 3 people that can score the basketball consistently. Atlanta's got 5, bluntly, and one that's on the injured list right now. So they got 6 that can score the ball. Like, you got all 5 starters with 12, 18, 19, 22, 24. That's some great offense right there. That's great offense. And for what it is, there was a point where they went small Atlanta tries to match Indiana. I mean, Indiana tries to match Atlanta going small. But when small is Angel Reese at the five, and your five is Monique Billings, or it's Maisha Hines Allen, or it's Michaela Timpson, that ain't never going to work. The only way you can even come close to matching that is with Aaliyah Boston. But then on top of that, Ryan Howard is a mismatch for every single player on the Indiana defense. She's unguardable by the Indiana defense. There's no one that can guard her. Not Lexi Hull, not Sophie Cunningham, not Kelsey Mitchell, not Caitlin Clark. They don't have anybody that can guard them. So why do you have Bree Hall on your team? Are you going to bring Bree Hall into the rotation so that she can actually, because she's athletic, she's actually an athlete, unlike Alexi Hull, who's a stiff, and a Sophie Cunningham, who's way undersized to guard a player like Ryan Howard. This would be a game for a Bree Hall. Your job is one thing. Bree Hall, you have one job today, Bree. Guard Ryan Howard. Guard her. That's it. You don't got to score. You don't do shit. Just guard her. You're 6', 6'1". You're athletic. You have size. That's your job. But no, they don't do that. They won't do that. And quite frankly, this team just ain't good, bro. They're a 500 level team. They're a back end playoff team at best. They can beat some bad teams, but I told people when they beat that Dream team 83-7, you're not going to get that game again. The Dream played so poorly in that game. That wasn't defense. That was bad shooting. That was bad shooting. And you've gotten the last two games, gotten your ass kicked, belt to ass, over 100 points. They are shooting, and knocking them down in your face. There's nothing you can do about it. They out-rebound you, they punk you, they dominate you, they physically whip you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then you have a coach who basically goes away from what's working in the first quarter. You scored 37 points because Caitlin Clark was on a heater. That's why you scored 37 points. Caitlin Clark was making it go. And then you decide, no, we're not going to do that. And I do blame Caitlin Clark. Third quarter, those turnovers were devastating. But they don't get back into games. They can't get back into games realistically. Against a team like Atlanta, it's hard. It's hard. And they're going to have to go play Phoenix back-to-back next week, along with Saturday against Los Angeles. I don't know whether the thing they can win or not, because this is Alyssa Thomas now we're talking about. Who can guard Alyssa Thomas for the Indiana? If you're going to put Leah Boston on her? Because Alyssa Thomas will cook whoever's guarding her on Indiana. Indiana's defense is just awful. Why don't you play zone ever? Why not? Why not? And then you don't challenge that fifth foul on Aaliyah Boston with the minute to go in the third. You don't challenge it. Your hands are crossed like this. You don't challenge that foul. They had just won a challenge of similar nature, the opposite side for Atlanta, and you don't challenge that. If Aaliyah Boston's on the bench, your game is over. You can't compete with this team. You got no size. But you just keep your arms crossed and just not do anything. But y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. If Atlanta plays its game every time against Indiana, Atlanta plays its best and Indiana plays its best, Atlanta will beat Indiana every single time. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. This is Indiana Fever Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.